as well. But I do feel like the guy who wrote in, his opinions are super valid. And if it's something that he thinks hinders the relationship, or now he can't look at her a certain way, then end things. But you need to talk about that before.
But didn't they say that they were taking things slow, so therefore didn't they talk about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, not that they're exclusive, but if you look at someone and say, hey, do you want to take things slow? I'm going to assume that we're taking things slow. You're not sleeping with other people, Right,
but the key word there is assume. They didn't say that they were exclusive.
So I didn't see the assume part. My bad. That's on me.
And just to recap, she did say, he does say, sure, we weren't official when this happened, but we had already been on multiple dates at that time. And he says he thought it was pretty clear that we were moving towards a fully fledged relationship. I
think I learned the hard way. You can't just think or assume something in a relationship or non-relationship.
He did also write, and on her end, she was definitely hinting at us evolving into a couple and strongly hinting at exclusivity. Mind you, they were dating for a year. He doesn't really give much of a timeline,
But the inference here is the problem, right? So there's an inference here. We're moving towards exclusivity, and that inference must actually be there because her claim to him, she tensed up, she got upset, was, okay, well, hang on, wait a second. Okay, yes, technically we weren't exclusive, but obviously you had this expectation because I was giving you this expectation. Otherwise, she wouldn't be upset about it, right? What would she be upset about? She's upset because she was inferring that they were going to be exclusive.
Let's get everybody's reaction here. Go ahead.
About if her side is valid or not.
Sure.
I kind of agree with you. If there was an explicit communication of what those boundaries and expectations from the relationship was at the time of these actions occurring, I think it gets confusing. I can genuinely see both sides because it seems like there's some dishonesty on one side or the other. Truth is usually somewhere in the middle of where there was alluding to there being, I'm not seeing anybody else. It could have also been like a trauma response but I don't know. I'm just trying to play. I know, right? Fuck everything.
But, okay, so we can have a debate over, this component of were they exclusive or not.
I think it's up to him.
But the issue is if she had also been sleeping with him, it gives you a bit more leeway. But I think the bigger issue here is that she fucked this other dude.
Yeah.
But she told him, oh, I want to take it slow because I'm a good girl.
Yeah,
and
no,
I don't
that's
do
fucked.
That.
Yeah.
That's, I think.
So that's why I'm like, I think they communicated.
Yeah.
She said, I'm taking things slow, and she went and screwed.
Yeah, she lied, basically. Your reaction.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, I guess, why wasn't he jumping to date her? But I guess it's because she said she wanted to take it slow. He didn't really say that he wanted to.
Well, I think take it slow physically.
Okay. So, yeah, I can see how, where he's coming from. I can see.
Okay. Your reaction?
I feel like just because, she said she wanted to take it slow with him, she could really like him and just want to take things slow. And with the other guy, it didn't mean anything. So, and we were not exclusive. We didn't have that conversation saying, okay, we're exclusive. We're not going to date anyone. We didn't have that. It's very gray area. So I kind of agree with her side because nothing is solidified here. Everything is like kind of up in the air.
Not, I mean, but it's not though.
Well,
right? It's not. This is like, and I see this all the time on these panels, right? It literally just seems like it's excusing bad behavior. Clearly from this guy's angle, he was moving towards this and she was moving towards this, and they both seem to agree. Otherwise, she wouldn't get upset. That's one. And seemingly the only way that you guys are able to quote validate this woman who's in the picture here is to essentially say, well, I disbelieve his story and there's another side. But it's like, just take the story at face value. Let's assume for a second it's true, that everything he's saying is true. Well, then how do you validate that?
Well, they never agreed to be exclusive. Yeah,
but so even granting, let's say it's not even considered.
Yeah, but he didn't agree that he would stay in a relationship with a girl who was like, for instance, let me just give you this scenario. right? If she had told him at the time, oh, and by the way, I just humped my Tinder date, don't you think that would have remarkably changed the situation of their dynamic? If she had actually been upfront with that. Oh, by the way, guy that I'm dating, I also happen to be banging a guy I met on Tinder. Don't you think that would completely change the dynamic?
I think so, but I feel like you can't really hold someone up to that standard. If
Of course you can. Of course you can.
I feel like you can't if you're not
Why can't you
dating.
hold up to that standard?
If you don't have to. Like, I could go on a date or be dating someone, talking to them, right? And where I can see things going, but I don't have to tell you that I just slept with somebody yesterday or last week. I mean, we never established that.
How's that not? That's
kind of-
totally despicable because it puts the person under false pretense. It's like that's completely despicable behavior to be like, oh, and I'm also banging this guy. I'm just not going to tell you about. Like, it's totally despicable to do. Like, who would ever want that done to him? Would you ever want to date a guy who you were really into? And then he was like, oh, yeah, and by the way, you found out, 4 weeks in that he was banging some other chick? Like, who would ever want that?
I don't know if it's just me, but when I date, I just assume that the other person is also dating and possibly sleeping with other people.
Correct.
I might not be, but I just assume until we have a conversation. And I think what she did is not right by not telling him. But in my opinion, I think that also what she did wasn't wrong. She didn't have to tell him because they didn't discuss it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the thing, though.
Guys
Like
do
with
this
men.
all the time. Guys do this all the time.
Oh, go ahead, Andrew. You're good.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that men generally are assuming that if they're going on multiple dates with a woman, she's dating anybody else. I think that that's usually generally a fair assumption to make. I don't see why it wouldn't be. And if you think it would change the way that the person would look at you, right? If you told them you were sleeping with somebody else, then at that point I think you actually have an obligation to do so because then it's false pretenses. So if you think, if I told this person I'm sleeping with somebody else, and if they had that information, they would no longer want to date me or be with me, so I'm going to purposely withhold that information. Yes, that's totally despicable. That's completely despicable because it's just self-serving, right?
Your reaction, and then we'll have some back and forth here.
My reaction is that I think it should have been clearly established in the beginning, and I think that's where
What should have?
that if they're sleeping with people or not, if they both were looking to be in a relationship or just establish if they wanted to be in a relationship, I feel like that's just like a valid known thing that people should know in a relationship.
I gotta ask this.
Rather you're sleeping with somebody or not in a relationship.
Let me ask you a question, okay? If you had genital warts and the other person didn't know, but they didn't ask you and you were going to sleep with them, are you obligated to disclose that to them?
No, this is where I think the modern society is a little soft. I think that this stuff should just be easily communicated. Like, rather you're sleeping with somebody or not. Like, personally, I don't want no one else sleeping with somebody else if I'm in a relationship.
I feel like that doesn't answer
so I'm
my
going to
question.
make that clear that I'm not sleeping with somebody.
To my question.
Yeah.
If you had genital warts, okay. and you and the person you were on a date with never discussed STDs, and he wanted to sleep with you, right? Are you obligated to tell him that? And isn't the reason you're obligated to tell him that so that he can make an informed decision about whether or not he wants to take that risk? Yeah. So the inference here then is that this person would make a different decision had they had the pertinent information that you are withholding. And so if you consider that to be a moral conundrum, I don't see how you wouldn't consider this a moral conundrum. They both seem like a moral conundrum to me, same way. Withholding information purposely to be self-serving. In the one case you say that's wrong, in the other case you say it's fine. That seems absurd to me.
Well, did he say that if she had told him that he would have left? Does it say that like in the post?
She was concerned.
Yeah. The idea that
she didn't
he's
tell
alluding to here is that had he had the requisite knowledge, he would have ceased and desisted the dating with her. That's the entire inference of the post. What makes it wrong is that he didn't know. In other words, right?
I think he should have just asked straight up. I think it's just like a common thing people should kind of know about each other if you're dating somebody, whether you're sleeping with somebody or not. Like, I feel like it's just like a common thing that people should know about each other, even in the beginning or not. Rather, like, if you see a long-term relationship with someone, like, I'm not going to be sleeping with somebody else. And I feel like that should be established if you both are looking for long-term things, you know?
Yeah, I think it should be established in the beginning that I would agree to this. I think it should be established in the beginning whether or not you want to have an open relationship and continue to date. You say, okay, I'm going to continue to date other people. You date other people. That's fine. But if it's not discussed, right, but you're acting in such a way as though it seems that this is moving towards something, then I think that as human beings, we can generally figure out what an inference is. What's being implied here? What's being inferred here? In the same way that you would say, I'm not going to hide an STD because I feel like, well, that could definitely do some damage to your life by not disclosing that to you and be self-serving. This also does the same thing. It's very damaging to a person's life by not disclosing it. So from my perspective, it seems that the woman should be not only completely invalidated here, but it was very sneaky, underhanded behavior.
Yeah, if it was the other way around, I would completely not agree with it. So I think if guys were doing what this girl was doing to us, I think we would honestly act more out on it than what that guy was doing, was just posting on Reddit or whatever the heck that was. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. You had something? Go ahead.
Yeah. First, just to be clear, so he was dating this woman for a year? I just want to be they was dating for a year, and I'm gonna just.
Then he found out.
Then he soft and should have said something.
All right, but so, in my opinion, the guy just seems a little green to me. That's just what I'm thinking. Because if I'm talking to a woman in the first beginning, I'm assuming she's doing what she want to do. Until we make it official, you not mine until you mine. So I'm not assuming anything. If I meet a woman in the modern time, especially if she's attractive and it's early and we haven't established nothing, she might still be lingering with somebody else. There still might be some cobwebs we're trying to clean out. So I'm not even assuming that. And if I'm dealing with a woman for a year's time and we haven't done anything, and you're accepting that and you think that's normal, you don't know women enough. I think we have what we want women to be and what they are. And I think a lot of men.
Yeah, but what you're doing is promoting terrible
I'm not promoting
behavior,
anything.
though.
You gotta let me finish though. I'm not promoting anything because I don't believe in it. I deal with reality. I don't agree with a lot of stuff in reality. I don't think certain things should be a crime, but that don't mean I'm gonna do it just to prove a point. It is what it is. So if I'm dealing with a woman for a year's time and she's making me wait for her body, I don't care what she says, I don't think she likes me. So based on that post,
I think they did, just to clarify, it's not clear from the post. I'm assuming they did have sex. I don't think he discloses it.
That's what I'm saying. He said but you said she was waiting. She said they was taking it slow physically. That's what
I don't
saying,
think
right?
he discloses, but yeah, so maybe they waited a month, 2 months, 3 months, something like that. I think they did have sex. Just as a point of clarification.
Okay.
But he waited, and then she fucked a dude on Tinder probably immediately.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not clear. If it's not clear if he had sex with her or not. Based on the post, it seemed like he was waiting to have sex.
He waited 3 months. The other dude hit it first night.
And hey, then he needs to leave her alone. But the fact that he made that post shows that he needs someone to convince him to leave her alone. He still wants to deal with her. And if he still wants to deal with her, then he's a clown. Because if you gotta go online and ask people, hey, should I leave her alone or not? That means you still like her and you're waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to stay with her. And men like that don't know women enough, and they just game goofy, period.
Well, we do. Hang on. Like, it's saying that because you were with a girl for a straight year, right? The relationship is going really well, and suddenly you learn very pertinent information to this relationship that you now have to deal with. And so you look outside external for guidance because you don't know exactly how to deal with a situation you've never been in. I don't think that's a knock on the guy either. I think it's him just going, hey, wait a second. This is something I haven't experienced before. And most men probably haven't been in the situation where they have a long-term relationship where they find that pertinent information out a year or two in. I don't think I'd beat him up about it. I think, though, that she should probably, if he wanted to avoid this situation, I would think that the moral ought here would be the disclosure, just like it would be with the STD, and then the situation's avoided.
But he knows now, and he's still looking for convincing. So what I'm saying is most men who have experience with women, when it doesn't go their way, Most masculine dominant men, they're not gonna wait around and figure out if she's with me or not. Once she shows you she's not on your team, you move on and you keep it pushing. You don't go online and post to random people and say, hey, do you think I should take her back? And I'm not knocking him, he's not a bad guy. He's just very green when it comes to women.
What advice would you have given him? Would you give him?
Leave.
Literally
Leave.
leave.
That's the advice. She's not the one for you. She's not the girl. She's not the girl for you. You was a good dude, and you're too good for her. Keep it pushing.
There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Hang on. I agree with you, right? The advice is leave. Perfect. So a guy like that doesn't have the requisite experience, looking for guidance from a male, comes to you, asks you, you say leave. Why would you knock him for that?
I'm not knocking him. It's semantics at this point. What I'm saying is that's not the right approach for this situation, my brother. Don't take your grievances to strangers. Suck it up and do something with your time. Take that energy that's frustrating with her and go do some push-ups. Go vent to your boys. Go get a drink. Go play Madden, something. Don't take it to the internet and think that, because he still wants her. He's looking for validation to stay. He's not looking for a solution. He's looking for a reason why he should ignore her folly, which lets me know he's not experienced with women. He's very green.
Maybe he's also having resentment that she met that guy on the internet, and so now he's going to the internet.
Well, I think there's a bit more context in the post. We're going to pull it back up. Maybe there's some explanation as to why he went to the internet. I think if I saw his girlfriend was trying to like cope and gaslight him a little bit. So let's pull it back up. I'll have you read the rest of it. Scroll down, please. Hide the overlay. Scroll down. I'm going to have you read where it starts. Relevant comments. Scroll down. Okay.
All right. In my opinion, if you're dating someone and moving towards a serious relationship, you don't freaking bang other people. This would be a deal breaker for me. But you do you, man. If you can't get past it, then end it.
A little clarification here. That's from like a commenter from the original Reddit thread. OOP, I believe that's just original poster. So this is a response. This is the actual guy who with the girlfriend issue. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. It would have been one thing if she was just talking to other guys in the early stages while we were defining things. Of course, that's fine and normal, but it feels like a slap in the fact that that she found another guy to sleep with after we had already gone on quite a few dates, and I made it clear I thought we were moving towards a serious relationship, which she seemed to also acknowledge. There's no way she didn't know I would feel hurt that she did that.
Scroll down a bit. Here, we'll scroll down. Scroll down. Okay, read that one.
Yeah, her logic made no sense to me. She tried to explain that with guys she wants to be in a relationship, she wants it to feel special and wants it to build an emotional connection. But for guys she sees no future with, she sometimes can just wanted physical fun that meant nothing. But I just can't wrap my mind around that. It feels like a gut punch that as we were getting closer and building a connection, she didn't want to be intimate with me, but instead preferred to find someone else. No matter how she rationalizes it, it's hard not to feel like a second choice.
And then there was an update 23 days later. Read the update, please.
As the title says, I decided to break up with Jess. I kept going back and forth because I was worried I was throwing away a great thing over something that happened in the past. But the problem is I thought I really wouldn't be able to get past it. I can't help what she did was really shitty. Yes, I know that technically she did not cheat, but she knew that I wanted a real relationship and that we were potentially moving in that direction. But meanwhile, she expected me to plan and pay for interesting dates, court her, and prove that I was worthy of her while she happily hooked up with randos who basically did nothing but show an interest in fucking. Fuck that. In a follow-up conversation, it also came up that her friends sort of guided her to act like this, that she should basically allow herself to have fun and to keep her casual options open, but with me to make me work for it and show that I wasn't just looking for sex, but was capable of being a committed partner. The whole thing just seems so manipulative and ugly, and these were also mutual friends who I considered to be nice girls, and now my friends as well. Now I never want to see any of those pieces of shit ever again. Anyway, I know this is starting to sound a bit like a rant, lol, but I felt pretty pissed off and basically called it quits. The actual breakup was actually quite unpleasant. No harsh words were exchanged, but Jess cried and we just kind of talked about some happy times. I guess that's the hardest part about this. Like, I don't think she is a bad girl and maybe we could have had a nice future together like we did over the past few months. But in the end, I do think I made the right decision. I want to be with someone who treats me well from the get-go, not someone who manipulates me while playing games just so she can have her cake and eat it too.
You had something really quick, but
yeah. Like from what I'm seeing, the guy just is not. He doesn't understand women like that. She didn't like him that much. She was still feeling him out, and she was willing to go on dates, and he was willing to acquiesce to that because he doesn't know women, and he was way more into her than she was into him. When a woman wants to have sex with you and when she likes you, she knows right away. At that point, all you can do is could turn her off. But she wasn't really attracted to that guy. She's seeing that he can be the guy that can be nice, but the guys that she was really attracted to was the guys that she was sleeping with. So he's not a victim. He's not. We're not going to knock the guy, but he just wasn't paying attention to the red flags. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but where does he learn to do that?
You have to get out. You got to get your feelings hurt. I mean, you only know how to fight until you get punched in the face.
That's why I don't understand the argument, right? It's like, I get what you're saying, that the guy's a simp and he doesn't have a lot of experience with women, blah, 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 blah. Nobody's disputing that. And I'd give him the same advice you would, leave. But how exactly if you're conflicted and you don't have this requisite experience, which is what you're talking about, how do you get it other than to have stuff like this happen? Go to friends, mentors, people like this, and discuss it with them. And another thing, like on these, just real quick, on these Reddit threads, things like this, many of the times I think that this is done by people so that other people can see what's going on and they can have a reference point if something similar is happening to them, right? So it makes sense.
Well, the way I learned, because I didn't have nobody say, hey, don't do this, don't do this. I just paid attention to my environment. And I look at what women did in real time. And I knew what not to do, and I wasn't going to play myself.
You never had any conflict with women that you went to your friends with?
Of course, but I'm not taking a woman on multiple dates, spending hella bread, and she's telling me we're taking it slow. And like, I never went through that. That's just me personally.
But I thought you wanted a traditional woman, and doesn't a traditional
I didn't say we had to have sex, but I'm saying I'm not about to be spending money multiple times, and you're still trying to figure it out. Like sometimes a date doesn't have to be money spent, because once you start spending money, men's emotions get attached to their money. So what I'm gonna do is say, hey, so I won't get mad at you. Let's go take a walk. Let's go to a museum, something that's not costing me anything, so I don't feel so upset when things go left. Men try to start investing in, I'm gonna take her and take her there. She hasn't done nothing for you but show up. So that's on him. So I do want a traditional woman, but I understand we don't live in traditional times, so I'm not gonna put myself in a traditional situation that's gonna get me played. I'm gonna play regular, do something that's cost efficient, because if she really likes me, she's gonna be there. If you really like a dude, he don't gotta take you to Ruth Chris. Now the guy that you're not really sure about, he might have to spend some money. But the guy that you know you really like, he just gotta show up. So I will put her in situations where she has to show me that she likes me naturally, not because I'm paying for this or paying for that. Not saying we can't get something to eat, but you're paying for 1, 2, 3, 4, multiple dates. Like, you gotta just be smart and realize that, hold up, this is not supposed to go like that. She's still trying to figure me out. I just think you just gotta be smarter than that and look around and see that most women, they know when they like a guy. Y'all know right away if y'all like a guy from the first conversation, if you could see yourself being with him. By the second, third conversation, you could see if you could see yourself being physical with him. It doesn't take a long time. So I just think he just needs more experience. He'd probably be a younger cat, but he just needs some more experience. He got his cherry pop, he'll be all right.
Maybe I was thinking, back when I used to be on dating apps, and I'm not on dating apps anymore, and I feel like the women I date now has changed a little bit. So my position on this has changed a little bit. But my position used to be, because I knew what happened when it came to meeting people on dating apps, kind of to your point, if you're meeting somebody on a dating app, you have to go in, and I'm not saying that this is how it should be, but it is how it is. You kind of have to go in assuming that they're probably fucking somebody else. And so for this reason, I was actually like, bro, I'm not going to be a traditional guy with you if there's a chance you're fucking somebody else or dating multiple other people at the same time. A lot of girls do this. They'll like entertain other dudes while they're fucking at least one other guy, two other, who knows what they're doing. It's like, I would feel kind of wrong if I was investing, even if it's a $20 fucking hamburger. I ain't gonna pay for a girl on a date and then do all the gentlemanly traditional shit, and then you get the doggy bag to go. You take it over to the dude's house who never paid for anything. You fucked him on the first date, and then you want me to be traditional. You want me to pay for a first date. I was always like, nah, we can go 50-50. My views have changed a little bit insofar as I feel like I'm dating different kinds of, like, well, I got off the dating apps, dating different kinds of women, like vetting them beforehand. Are you involved with any other dudes? I'll just straight up ask, like, are there other dudes in the picture? If there are, I'm not interested. But back then, I'm like, yeah, these girls are probably dating, maybe even fucking another dude. Not going to pay for the first date.
And real quick, a lot of times if a woman really likes you and she respects your effort, she'll offer to pay for the date or do something for you. Or I'll cook. Just come. No, so it's like she didn't offer him nothing but IOUs, and he ate that up. Like, no, you're a clown.
Yeah, and also just, I mean, a point on this, like in terms of if you want to get the girl, you should pay for the date. It's just like the most optimum move. Like even if it's unfair or whatever, like you should just pay for that shit because it's just like some girls are gonna be like, oh okay. They're gonna have an issue with it. So if you're actually, your goal is to get the girl, like you can do the whole like equality shit. But if you're trying to like min max, be most optimum when it comes to dating, you should pay. But it's like like looking at it from principle, like if a girl's fucking another dude, like you should not be doing traditional shit for her. Like she can get your providing and protecting when she's your girlfriend, when she's your girl. But if she, like, imagine you fucking died for a chick and then like she was gonna fuck another dude that night. Like what the fuck? You know?
That's a little extreme.
Yeah.
Well, it's not
It
extreme.
could be that way, though. You never know. Like, life is life.
And it could also happen when you're exclusive, you know? Like,
Oh, like cheating.
yeah, and
Sure.
so I feel like you are what you attract, and if you want a traditional woman, you have to be a traditional man.
Dating and relationships is if we honest, it's a dice roll. It's all a gamble. All of it is a gamble, man. You don't know. So to come in with this high hopes, gee golly whiz type of shit, like nah, bro. Like you gotta be realistic. You know what I'm saying? And as a man, I'm sorry, I never jumped into a situation like I got insurance plans. I got friends. Like I'm not just blindly just giving you everything. Like no, you're gonna earn this shit, and I'm gonna put you in situations where it's not a transactional situation. You don't owe me nothing. I don't owe you nothing. I'm assuming you're talking to a person. Now, sometimes I kind of want you to talk to somebody because now you can compare, contrast, and say, okay, I see. Sometimes you gotta let things go to see if it's really worth it. So if she's talking to another guy, don't be jealous. Assume that she's not your girl. She's not in your bed. You should assume she's talking to somebody else, and you should too. You should be talking to somebody else. You're just talking. I'm not saying you should be having sex with multiple people, but if take away the intimacy part, male and female in the beginning, I don't think there's anything wrong with literally talking to different people. You're gauging out who's who and what's what. So a man come into a situation, well, we had a date. She told me that we might, and I believe her. Then that's what you get. Like, where are you from? Like, I don't know. It's all about where you're from and how you grew up. I grew up in a fast-paced environment, so I had to learn quick. Some people grow up in these rural towns, and they just, old McDonald had a farm-ass upbringings, and they try to deal with people, you know what I'm saying, in different environments, and they think everybody gonna feel sorry for them, but the world is fast, bro. You gotta catch on quick. I grew up in the New York City metropolitan area. I learned real early that women say one thing and do something else. I seen all the pretty good girls go with the bad guys, so I'm not gonna go and say, hey, I'm gonna save her. No, I'm gonna move accordingly. So some dudes just need to get out their neighborhood, move from their neighborhood, their environment, go somewhere else, and just get roll they royal oats, get that wind beneath they wings. You feel me? Like get out your head.
Get the wind.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Like people get played every day, B. Like get over it. Like you'll be all right. You're a man.
Yeah. But Andrew, this sort of ties into some conversations we've covered this topic before. This one's a little different, but I mean the whole like waiting for sex thing, and I think like this is just another example on the pile of. This is probably every guy has some sort of story like this, and we hear it from the women on the show too. But Andrew, does this further solidify kind of at least my position on this when it comes to the whole like waiting for sex thing?
Well, not really, because your idea here is you want disclosure, right? And you want disclosure so that you can make the determination because you're saying, look, if you want to make me wait, but you just made this other guy who didn't wait, not wait, then you have already established that that she's disclosed this, right? In this case, this guy was victimized. Now, he could say, well, he didn't have the requisite experience. But then if you also say in the next sentence, and the thing that'll save him from that in the future is getting the requisite experience, then we have to admit that he was victimized. There's really no way around that, right? So in this case, Brian, I'm not sure how it actually helps your case, because you would demand disclosure, or else you wouldn't know that she wasn't willing to sleep with you, right? Or that she had slept with another guy, so you could apply the standard.
Well, it's more so, I guess it ties into this whole thing of you're dating a girl and she wants to wait. And then there doesn't have to even be another guy in the picture, but like she previously, like she's had some one night stands, her last boyfriend, they hooked up quickly, and then you come into the picture, and then she's like, oh, I want to wait 3 months, I want, whatever it is, and I'm just like,
yeah, but how would you know that?
Right.
I mean, I would get the disclosure, hopefully.
Right. That's my whole point, right? It's like, so that's why this doesn't actually solidify your position, because had he had the disclosure, this whole thing wouldn't have happened to begin with, right?
Oh, well, I'm not really talking anymore about that specific situation. It's more so just kind of the general, like the whole waiting thing that I have a quarrel with, where like if look, women are free. Look, if you had sex with 100 men, I mean, I wouldn't be interested in you if you had sex with 100 men, but if she previously had sex with 100 men within 30 minutes of meeting them, and then I come into the picture, I mean, that'll immediately be a disqualifier. But okay, just for the sake of the hypothetical, and then you want to make me wait 6 months to have sex, I'm gonna lose interest. I'm just not interested.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, but this has always been your position. Your position on this has always been pretty consistent, which is just, I would feel like I was playing second fiddle if you decided that you were going to make me wait, and the last 10 guys you were with, or 5 guys, or 4 guys, or 3 guys, you immediately went in. I mean, why would I do that, right? What was so special about them that you would do that with them, and then not special about me that you wouldn't do that with me? So I mean, I've always understood the argument.
Yeah, it's just a raw deal. It's a raw deal for the guy, and I would just I would doubt the sincerity of the position. It just feels manipulative. And it's like, look, you're free to do what you want. I'm just probably gonna immediately.
Well, I've always thought that it was faking virtue. That the idea was to fake virtue.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's always been my position.
Yeah, and there, I think one of the girls maybe said it here at the table. It's like, I'm trying to think what it was, but basically, what was it? Oh, it's like, okay, so they view like the guy who's worthy of the relationship. It's like, oh, you're worth waiting for, but it's like, so you treated the guy who's deserving of the relationship worse than the fuck boy. It doesn't make sense. Like, you're so important to me. I treated sex like it was sacred for you, but not the other 50 guys who I gave it to on the first night, who were fuckboys and were assholes.
Yeah, but that's because I respect myself now, Brian, and I didn't respect myself then, right? That's because I respect myself now.
True.
Yeah, I think it's. I do think that there's a significant amount of fake virtue that comes with this, and the idea is just she's shit testing you, right? Mm-hmm. Shit testing you.
Yeah.
And the virtue aspect of this is to say, well, look, I'm virtuous, you're virtuous, we're all virtuous. When maybe perhaps that's not the case, because most of the time I hear them say this is, I want to make the right guy wait. The right guy being a guy who I consider virtuous. So if you're not sleeping with him because he doesn't want a woman who is promiscuous, then wouldn't you just be faking this as a virtue? That then becomes the question.
Yeah.
I think guys got to realize, and it's kind of tricky, but you got to understand how women speak. They're not going to give you the answers. They're going to speak in code sometimes. I know it sounds weird. I know a lot of guys is so black and white and say, well, she should have said it. She's not going to say it. If she likes you, she's not going to make you wait. Unless she's a virgin and she's telling you to wait, is because she doesn't like you that much. She likes you enough to see that you might take care of her, but who she likes for a relationship and versus who she's attracted to versus who she thinks is safe for her is 2 different things. And sometimes guys are the safe guy. You're not who she's attracted to. And we be thinking, why is she attracted to? Women are attracted to objectivity, regardless of what they say. And I think a lot of times men be listening to what women literally say and believe them. And she's not going to tell you the answer. She's going to reveal certain things. And women, y'all may not admit it, but it's true. Women going to tell and say certain things that publicly feeds their image. But behind the scenes, they not always going for the super duper nice guy. He might be a little rough around the edges. He might be going through something. They don't want this cookie cutter guy. So a lot of guys who come with that cookie cutter energy and get played out, they think the woman did them wrong. It's like, no, you too busy listening to women tell you what a man should do instead of just being a man and follow your energy. Don't be abusive. Don't be wild. But a woman who likes you is not going to tell you to wait. She don't even talk like that. She's only talking like that to the guy that she knows will wait, while she actually gives herself to the guy who just be himself, and she likes that. So I think guys just need to learn about women more.
I don't understand this position though, because it's from my end. It just seems like you're blaming the
Let's
men
ask the ladies.
in this. The men say, well, wait, yeah, I listened to what she actually said and heard exactly what she said, and so yes, of course, based on what she said, I did X thing. That's how human beings operate, right? We listen to what each other. That's what we have to go on.
You ever had a girl say stop doing it, but she really wants you to keep going?
Hang on, I just listened. Listen back. Hang on. Okay, so I think that the idea here that there's like a special code that is easy to crack or something like this, I think that that's in many ways foolishness. I think ultimately that men themselves, what other barometer do they have to go off of except communication? They have to communicate. Now, like with anything, you have to utilize your intuition with communication and understand doublespeak. You get that from men sometimes too. But I don't really understand what else you have to go on. And if you say, well, you should have known better, even though she told you everything in the opposite, it just sounds like you're blaming the guy for it and giving the woman a pass.
I'm not giving her a pass because I know it's like this, man. You can listen to what people say, or you can observe what they do. I don't listen to what people say. I look at what they do. I look at the actions of women. I see women say, I want a nice guy, but do they oftentimes end up with the guy that's cookie cutter and perfect? Most of the time, no. So obviously what they're telling you is not what they want. So as a man, it's like you got children. Your child might say something, but you know they mean something else. Like, you're the man. You're supposed to have this sixth sense of life. That's why we're the leaders. Everything a woman says is not literally what she wants. She's gonna say things because women are trying to protect their image most often than not. They don't want to come off like I know a lot of women, and secretly I've met female friends that say, you know, I want to dress like this, but I don't want people to look at me this way. Or sometimes I want to be a little more liberated. Or one day I want to try stripping. I don't think it's cool, but women are not going to always tell you their inclinations. You got to just assume and look at society and look at the world we live in. If she wants you, she's going to give herself to you. She's not going to make you wait for no 6 and 7 or 8 months. And if you believe that because she said that, I just don't think you're paying attention to what women actually do. You're listening to what they say. But that's what I'm saying. It's all about where you come from. Where I come from, you got to read body language. You got to read how people move. If I listen to what people said all the time, I wouldn't even be here. So I'm looking at more than just what they're saying. I'm looking at what they're doing.
But if women are these excellent manipulators, as you are kind of pointing out and stating, it's a manipulation tactic because they're actually doing the opposite of what they're saying. Why is there some assumption here then that if this is the case, that they're not going to have their actions, at least in some way, sync up to what it is they're telling you? The hundreds and hundreds of men that I talk to, for instance, they say there was no signs of problems. It seemed like she was acting in the exact same way she told me, right? She was acting the same way that she told me. These red flags were not always apparent, right? And then bam, there's a bombshell, like what happened to this poor guy. Bam, he's hit with a bombshell. Everything's going good. Everything seems to sync up. Everything she's saying and doing seems to be on par, right? He doesn't see any of these red flags, and then bam, gets hit with a bombshell. And it's like, so if it is the case, and the one side you say, well, they're kind of expert manipulators, got to read between the line. And if you read between the lines, you'll know how to kind of crack this code. It's like, okay, but at the same time then, why couldn't they just also sync their words with their actions and trick you that way? That seems to be something which happens often.
She did it for the other guy that she liked. She didn't do it for him.
Yeah, but he didn't know that.
She never did anything based on that post. It was a lot of assumptions, and I feel, it seems like he was talking like a girl to me. That's how women talk. I don't hear men saying like that, talking like that. No offense, ladies. He was talking like he was in his feelings. He didn't sound like a man to me. He didn't sound masculine to me. Just because she agreed to eat your food that you bought does not mean she likes you because that's what she said. Her
And
actions
you're
are
talking
going to
about
show you
feelings
that.
too. It's intuition. It's read between the lines.
She didn't do nothing but just go on dates.
It's intuition, right?
But all she did was go on dates with him, and he said, I think it's going good. I took her out to eat 3 times, and she actually showed up. I think we're going places. That's what he believed. That's on him.
Can I add something? Does that mean that his feelings are just completely invalid now? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is you can't put yourself in situations where you're not getting anything but words.
I understand that, but some people, like, when it's happening, they can't see for what it is. So for you to say, like, he's dumb, he shouldn't have done that, I don't actually believe that, because I feel like when you actually like someone, you can't see that you're getting played, or you wouldn't sit there and get played. You know what I'm saying? So as much as he would have liked to see that he was getting played, I don't think that he saw it, and to say that he should have been more of a man, he should have been more of a man. Who cares how masculine it is? I still think his feelings are valid, you know?
I think if he looks back, he's going to say, because a lot of times when I talk
and
to
that's
men,
fine, but does that invalidate his entire experience?
No, but I can't call him a victim. You know what I'm saying? I just think he was misled, and I think he just was not really. He doesn't really understand the relationship dynamic today, and he's just very green.
I would
and
say
bless his heart. It's not. We need good people like that. That's great that he's very green and he just took things at face value. That's cool. But if you deal in this modern world with these modern women, and until she's your woman, she's not your woman. If you want to keep financing dates for a woman that you haven't confirmed that's your woman, that's a gamble that you're taking, brother.
Yeah,
I
think
like 100%, but I still feel like he might not have like relationship experience before. I still feel like his feelings are valid, because say that was his first relationship, he's figuring it out. He is 100% right in my opinion. Only because like you got hurt, like you didn't know what was happening, you didn't know what you were doing. So to say just be more of a man, I feel like he's learning. Let him learn, like, you know.
No, he learning. He gonna learn a lot.
There are red flags. So the first red flag is, first of all, you're dating for a year and you're just going on dates. Like what are we doing?
I mean, that's definitely red flags.
That's a red flag. Like he said, I agree with him. Like us women, if we know we like someone, we're typically not going to say no. Now, you guys may disagree, but if we're being honest, we're not going to be like, oh no, I'm gonna make you wait for 7 or 8. Like that's crazy. That's really
that is crazy.
Like
but
we're in 2024. Like let's be real. That's not even realistic. And he there were red flags. He just didn't see them for whatever the reason was. But he has to take an accountability for, just like we do. We all get in bad relationships. We live and we learn. But you got to take accountability. I mean, who does that?
But it's still his story, and he's still like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying that like he should have done what he done, and like he should continue doing what he does. But what I'm saying is like to invalidate his feelings completely is weird.
I think they're both wrong.
Allowed someone to go on a date to date a girl for a whole year and just go on a bunch of dinner dates.
I thought they had
but that still doesn't take away from what it is.
And assume we're in a relationship.
No, but it is a little strange that he didn't ask.
What do we expect him to take accountability for? He didn't do anything wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong to anybody else. He wronged himself. He played himself. He disrespected himself and his time and his money.
If that lied to, that doesn't seem like he played himself.
If that mattered that much to him, then that should have been established in the beginning.
Yeah, I just kind of reject this idea that men have like some type of sixth sense crystal ball where they can see in the future and just know that
it's not about seeing the future, bro.
Lied to or this type of thing. It seems to me completely reasonable to have expectations of the opposite sex that they don't lie and mislead you and fuck a bunch of other dudes while you're dating them. That just seems totally reasonable to me to have that expectation. Now, I understand the argument of saying, but Andrew, in the current modern dating world, that's not reality. I understand that portion of it, right? Perhaps it's not reality. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to bash a guy for having those expectations, because they're totally reasonable expectations to be like,
not bashing.
We're not bashing based on what that, I'm sorry, y'all. Based on what that thread said, I didn't see anything conclusive from her side that would make me think she's mine or she's waiting for me. He's saying it felt like, it seemed like, she didn't say you're my guy and we have a future. He said she's giving off feelings as if it might be. People lie and men do too. I've been in a situation where I have friends, and I'm all for the brothers. I'm all for the men. I'm for people, period. But I'm not gonna just say whatever just to fit anybody's narrative. I got friends. They say, yo, she tripping, she doing this, and then you'll really be a fly on the wall for this situation and be like, bruh, you goofy. That's what you're telling me she did. She didn't really do it like that. Like, men embellish too, and men lie to themselves too because the girl is cute. And it's a Reddit thread. We don't know what she said, and the stuff that he said about her isn't conclusive, and it isn't enough for me to put all my eggs in one basket and focus on her. Nothing she did said that I should be focused on this woman. He assumed that. Nothing she said or nothing he said that she said shows me that.
All you got on a relationship in the beginning is your intuition in the way that people are acting, in the way that they're moving towards each other. What else do you have?
What was her actions? Showing up to eat?
Well, hang on.
Well, maybe he thought she was traditional, like you were saying, and was waiting to not give herself away.
Yeah, if you're under the assumption and you're being led under that assumption, you could say he was wrong. That's fair to say that he was wrong, but I don't think it's fair to say he did anything wrong or that he was out of pocket here. I think that it's far more reasonable to say, okay, I had a reasonable expectation that we were inside of an actual relationship, moving towards that, because that's all of the signs, all the signals, all the everything, we're demonstrating that. Now, what else do you have except that conversation intuition? What else do you have?
Respectfully, what was the signs? Because if I'm inviting a woman to eat and she shows up to eat,
wasn't signs.
But he didn't explain nothing. That's what he said. We just assume he's telling the truth. I'm not going to do that. I don't assume people telling the truth. What I heard was I took her out.
What he said.
Okay.
Right.
What I heard was I invited her out to eat. She showed up and ate multiple times, and that I feel like we're getting somewhere. That's not showing me anything. Now, if I took her to eat and she took me to eat, then I would say, oh, maybe she's into me because sex is off the table. We're not intimate. So if we're not having sex, what is she doing to show me that I have a chance with her besides showing up to eat? Nothing. So if you are believing that and thinking because she came to eat, which most people will do, and you think because she came to eat on your dime multiple times, that means y'all are going.
Like for a year?
That's all on him. What? I don't know no man who would do that for a year.
I don't know, man. That seems.
Would you do that? Would you do that?
Well, I'm only taking the story at the value of the story.
Though?
So
would you do it?
Hang on. What I'm not doing is I'm not reinventing the story. I'm only taking it at face value and contending with what the guy is saying. Now we can add new. We can add new inventions to the story in order to make it sound this way or that way. I'm literally only contending with what's being said, assuming that for right now it's true because we don't have anything else to match it against.
Okay, so we don't. But as men, what do we say? We push back when women say believe all women. So I'm not going to believe all men either. Based on what he said, I took her out to eat for a year, and she gave herself to somebody else.
That's not what that means. When you say when they say believe all women, they're talking about a specific thing, which is SA, right? And so that's what the point of contention is there. I think, genuinely speaking, I do believe most men's experience in relationships over most women. To be honest with you, I really do.
I think that was his chance to take that risk factor of waiting for her, knowing or not knowing that she has done something. But I feel like that's more on him on that part, but morally it's not right for her to do that either, in my perspective. But again, I just think it should have been brought up in the beginning. If that was that serious and that important to him, then it just should have been asked in the beginning if she was sleeping with other people or not. Apparently it wasn't such a big thing to her because that's what she's doing. I don't know.
Now this I would say, right, I have to say is reasonable. It's reasonable to say, okay, in the beginning we've established firm boundaries, this and that. I understand the principle behind this and it makes total sense to me. But this is why I brought up the hypothetical of, for instance, if you had genital warts, would you disclose it? You say yes, and it's because you know that the person, if they're informed of that, is going to make a different decision because now they know the situation. I think it's the same thing in this instance, that there's some kind of duty or obligation here if you know that this person's moving towards a relationship but would not if you revealed that information, to reveal that information to them. That seems totally reasonable. Same thing if like a guy was a multiple felon. Wouldn't you want to know that
100%
before establishing, or if they were guilty of domestic violence, you would want to know that, right? So, and the reason you would want to know those things is because that's the best way you can make an informed decision about what it is that you're doing. So I think that there's a duty and obligation to do that.
So Andrew, let me ask you a quick question.
Sure.
Would you take a woman out on dates for a complete year and think that y'all going somewhere and y'all didn't do anything?
What is
Wouldn't
going
take her out on a
somewhere to
date
you
for 2
though?
weeks. But whether or not
In a
I would,
relationship.
so to answer your question directly, right? Of course not. But the thing is like first and foremost, right? I'll make a couple things clear. So here's my olive branch to you. I don't know anything about women, and I don't know shit about dating. I've been out of the dating market for years, right? I'm what you would consider to be a logician. That's basically what I do. I run everything through a fount prism for Christian ethics and logic, right? I'm not saying that you don't know more about dating than me. All of you, most certainly know more than I do. I'm in no position
I don't
to
know
give
everything
advice
either, bro.
about dating at all. So that's kind of my olive branch to you. But I can just say here that what I'm not willing to do if I'm just looking at it from the prism of who's doing the right things and who's doing the wrong things, from the moral prism, from Christian ethics, from these kind of standpoints, it seems to me that it's completely reasonable to believe a person's telling you the truth and to make inferences that if they know that you want to be exclusive and you know that that's what they're working for, even if you haven't established that boundary, that they have some obligation to tell you that, or they're in the wrong. I think that that's totally fair. Now, is that reasonable, or does it map onto the reality of the situation? No, probably not, right? So you're probably right there. Like, he should have known this, he should have known that. Maybe all of that's true, right? But I still think that I'm going to hold, if this is all true, her accountable for this, and not him, because I don't see what he actually did wrong.
Okay.